Sometimes our shoulder blades can feel like they're stuck to our rib cage, so that we can either think, ooh, I'm gonna have a nice tall posture, but then your ribs are kind of flared and your back is arched, or ooh, let me get my ribs down, but then you bring your shoulders down with you. This is one of my favorite exercises for helping kind of unstick that, and also is a great warm-up and precursor to any other more loaded shoulder work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it at an elevated surface. This is gonna be easier than getting into hands and knees or progressing onto the ground on our forearms. Plus it's an easy one to throw in wherever, and you get some nice glute lengthening while you're at it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into a hinge position, and you're gonna have your forearms be parallel to each other, right? You're gonna kind of drive the pinky side edge of your forearms into the ground. If you want, you can explore rotating your palms up and getting more expansion through the back side of your shoulders, but be careful with that, and we wanna make sure that we're trying to meet our body where it's at and being able to move as best that we can. So as we're here, we're gonna go into a hinge position. So hands on your hip flexors, making sure they stay soft as you sit back into those hips, nice length in your glutes, knees stay soft, and then my forearms are gonna come down on here. You wanna make sure that it's not something that is too low where your shoulders are below your hips, or too high where now it's almost like gravity isn't really in your favor. So I would maybe even choose something a little bit smaller than this if I could, but no big deal if not. So as we're here, what we're focusing on is my shoulders are gonna be over my elbows. My humerus here, my arm bone, is gonna be vertical throughout the movement. So you don't want it to tip this way or tip that way. And then you can also think as if your head is grazing a wall throughout the movement. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to think about my shoulder blades slowly melting towards each other, my collarbone broadening, and my heart coming through towards the bench. So as I'm here, my shoulder blades are sliding around my rib cage. I'm making sure I'm not pulling myself into it, but thinking about melting in my armpit and getting some eccentric control of my serratus and opening up the front of my chest. So as I'm coming down, I'm making sure I'm not faking it with my head, but again, thinking about that my shoulder blades are sliding around that rib cage, my armpits are melting, my neck is staying nice and relaxed but long, and you get to a point where maybe you can't go any further. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna inhale, thinking about breathing into that area of stickiness, into your armpits, in your back, into that chest wall, keeping that expansion as you then maybe go another millimeter, and doing that a couple of breaths in a row. Another thing to watch out for is making sure that you're not flaring from those ribs to get further down. Just like I said, I don't want you moving from your head and neck. So as you're going down, you might have to think about someone kind of lifting your ribs up, or like there's a flame under there that you don't want to burn yourself on, so that you actually get that movement from the shoulder blades around the rib cage versus just everything as a unit moving down towards the ground. Now, once you got to the point that you can't go anymore, you're going to go the other way. So now I'm going to slowly press out through my armpits and elbows, thinking about my shoulder blades broadening, head and neck is relaxed, and going in the opposite direction. So now my shoulder blades are peeling apart from each other. You'll get to the point that feels sticky. Inhale into your sides, into your back, to your chest wall. Exhale, go another millimeter. With this direction, we're making sure when we go to press that we don't drop our chest down. That's gonna make you feel it in your neck rather than finding that serratus. So as we're here, you might almost have to think of hooks underneath your collarbones to help you stay lifted, to make sure you don't shrink back like this, lose the neck, and round through here on it. So it's gonna look like this. Head's nice and long. You're gonna slowly go down, armpits melt, ribs stay lifted, collarbone broadens, get to the point where maybe you can't go anymore. Inhale, exhale, feel yourself sink another millimeter. Then you're gonna go up the other way. You're gonna slowly press, feeling those shoulder blades broaden away from each other, not letting that chest drop down, but keeping that length like someone's pulling your hips and your hair in opposite directions. Inhale, exhale, maybe go a little bit more, and then go back to it. Doing a couple rounds in each movement, trying to inch a little bit further with each round. So in the end, you should feel nice and loose in your shoulder blades. Afterwards, you might feel like you can stand a little bit taller without fighting yourself with it. You might feel that your armpits have worked. I don't want it to feel down your back here. I also don't want you to feel your neck or your pecs or down your arm. 2 last little hacks is maybe you need to think about pushing your arms out just a little bit while you go up and down through the movement to give a little bit more stability through your shoulder blades. But again, when you go to push out, it's not like you're actually moving, you're just maintaining that little bit of pressure out. You might also want to elevate one forearm than another. We can have rotations in our rib cage or biases in our arms where we don't load it equally. So if you elevate one forearm slightly, that might help change how you're loading to be able to balance out the system and access the muscles that we're looking to access with it. But it's a great one to do to throw out throughout the day because you walk by countertops all the time and can definitely leave you feeling a little bit more relaxed in your neck and your shoulders and set you up for success when you're going to do any breathing, core work, or shoulder work afterwards.